In today's video, we're going to be breaking down Matt Gray's entire funnel and systems that allows him to make $1.2 million every single month. And we're going to be uncovering a lot of different things, starting with his traffic and his entire content strategy that gets him so many eyeballs on what he's doing and what he has to offer. We're then going to be breaking down how he owns that attention and keeps people within his ecosystem that he's built to further educate them and turn prospects from being solution or problem unaware to people who are actually looking for a solution and looking to implement a solution, which is what his offer is, of course. From there, we're going to be looking at his entire funnel and how he's actually converting people in that specific sales process, all the way from his setting processes, his closing processes, and his sales systems. So let's dive right in. When it comes to Matt's traffic, he has a very specific content strategy. And really what he likes to do is he likes to use his Twitter as his top of funnel. And the reason for this is because Twitter is really amazing for testing out different content ideas. Since it's pretty low effort to just make a little tweet or make a thread and see how it performs, you can then take the high performing tweets and repurpose those into longer form content or shorter form content, which obviously take a lot more effort when it comes to scripting, filming, editing, posting, where you can test a lot of content ideas all the way from 5 to 10 per day and just take the ones that perform well and repurpose those on those other platforms. So that's really his strategy. So when it comes to his traffic, he is really mainly focused on Twitter, like I said, YouTube, and Instagram. Those are really his main things that really keep his system and his personal brand running. Of course, he's omnipresent also on LinkedIn and TikTok, but these are the main three for him. And so with his Twitter, his goal is just to get people on his newsletter. From there, he can expand further on those ideas that he talks about in his threads. And of course, in that newsletter, he's driving people to these other platforms, which we'll get into later in the video. When it comes to his YouTube, people are really nurtured when they watch long form YouTube videos. And so he really lets people select where they want to go from there. So he'll let them go to his newsletter, or they can obviously choose to go to his Twitter or his LinkedIn or his Instagram. He also has his free training, which is really just his offer in his main landing page, which we'll be breaking down as well. And then he has his mastermind, which is a webinar he's currently running. And then really when it comes to his Instagram, he's driving people to 3 places, and that's his workshop or his mastermind that he's currently running, which is that webinar. He wants to further nurture people with his long form videos. So this latest video is just his YouTube video, and then people can book a call with this training link, which is his main offer, which we'll be talking about. And one thing that Matt has absolutely mastered is the ability to storytell. And so let's break down kind of one of his IG carousels, which he took from an idea that he posted as a thread on Twitter. So the first aspect of these IG carousels really needs to get people to stop scrolling and hook them in. So he does that by saying 22 life lessons I wish I knew, lessons on finding happiness, right? And then he really just takes people and he has captivating images as the background and is really just kind of just storytelling from here and just kind of taking people through a sequence and key things that he's learned, in his life that have really helped him build an amazing personal brand. And he takes you through, and they are actually really helpful and useful. And it also does there's a lot of different psychological triggers that he's incorporating in this, but social proof, he's actually trying to get people to see the bigger dream. He's positioning himself as an authority and things of that nature. And they're also actionable, right? But not super specific. And so at the end, he actually has a CTA to get people into a lead magnet. Essentially is what it is. It's a comment CTA, comment brand, and I'll send you over a free template, which is what we're going to really dissect next, and how he's able to really own people's attention from a quick, simple carousel like this. And so when it comes to, owning attention, it's really important to understand the 7-11-4 rule before we get into anything else. And really what this means is a prospect needs to spend 7 hours engaging with their brand's content, have 11 interactions or touch points, and engage across 4 different platforms or locations before they're ready to buy from you. And so let's break down how he's really able to do this. And so once you comment on any of his posts, he does this on stories, he does this on carousels, he does this on his reels, and he has different automations set up to really start taking and owning your attention and just starting that conversation. And so from there, he says, hey, it looks like you're looking for this breakdown. Let me get your email. And so that's the next crucial step, is he then just took you from being just a viewer to owning your data, which once you have someone's data, which is obviously their name, their phone number, and their email address, you can really start to market to them with, emails, get them in your different ecosystem, and really master that 7-11-4 rule. And so one thing that Matt is really good at is actually following up with automations. Hey, Loic, did you get a chance to go through that personal brand template yet? Yes, I was really trying to engage with him and see what his setters are like and what they're, how interactive they're being. And one mistake that I did notice Matt making is I was giving him responses, but they were clearly just automations. And I really highly recommend that you have the automation or the ManyChat start the conversation, but then you actually have a real person at the end of that, or a team of setters in your ManyChat, really continuing that conversation and digging deep with the prospects, uncovering the different problems they might be facing in their business and things of that nature. And so Matt really works to own your attention in a lot of different ways, right? Where he's constantly posting these different CTAs, which are, different lead magnets and different resources, so that you're always just kind of learning what he has to offer and taking you off of these main platforms that are Instagram, TikTok, YouTube, even Twitter. He really wants to own your attention and just focus on what he's telling you and his message, right? Because his message isn't always just buy my product. It's actually helpful and useful information. And so getting people off of these main platforms where they're just doom scrolling and they're brain rotting and things of that nature is super important, because it's impossible to convert someone that's just there on Instagram to just scroll, right? You need to get people to stop scrolling and actually paying attention to what you're saying and what you have to offer. And so he offers this through a lot of different lead magnets, and there's too many to even break down. He has probably 3 to 4 different big lead magnets that he promotes every single week. And so it takes a ton of time to not only craft these different lead magnets, but then push traffic towards them through his content, through his emails. You can see his emails are really long. They kind of are further owning your attention and really working towards converting you, right? And keeping you in his ecosystem. And then I also noticed one thing that was pretty interesting is he has a lot of different school communities, right? He has one that is free with almost 700 people in it. He has another one that's free with about 250 people in it. He's got his mastermind with 50 people. That all these are free, of course. And then he has a couple paid ones with which both only have 26 people in it. And so this, I think he's using a couple different strategies where he's able to have different messaging in each different community, and he doesn't care about just having, a lot of people have like 3, 5,000, 10,000 people in their free communities, and he easily could with how big his personal brand is, but he, I think, is really being very specific in the messaging in each of these communities and really properly nurturing people. And so let's really break down how he's further nurturing people. And so when it comes to nurturing and educating people into, prospects that will be actually interested in what he has to offer, is the main thing that he's really focused on is his lead magnets. So his lead magnets are, getting people to understand his main message that he has. And he's changing his messaging all the time to not really, to make sure that he isn't burning out his audience, right? Because when people keep hearing about the same message all the time, for example, Iman, he's always pushing SMMA, buy my course for SMMA, it's the best thing. It gets really repetitive. And one thing Matt does is he really keeps his messaging really fresh. And you're kind of always kind of curious what he's saying, and he has different ways to angle his messaging to keep it interesting. And so, for example, here he's got his Ikigai lessons, a Japanese concept where you kind of feel aligned and centered, and you kind of have that North Star. And this is really interesting. And one thing that I noticed on this lead magnet is there weren't any CTAs. There were no other links pushing people to either book a call or watch a video, which I found really interesting. And normally people with lead magnets, there's always a call to action with that lead magnet. And he's actually just giving free value to not burn out his audience, like I said. No, obviously a lot of his lead magnets do have other CTAs. On the third or fourth slide, on this one, for example, before he even gave any value, he goes, if you want to build your profitable personal brand, apply to Founder OS here. And this is before even providing any free value, which is a little bit surprising to me. And this lead magnet honestly wasn't very good. But the point is he's getting you off of these other platforms like Instagram and TikTok. He's owning your attention, and he's nurturing and educating you on his story and his message and what he believes is really important, which is building a personal brand that is profitable. And he's really essentially offering to help you with this. And, he's always redirecting you to his other pieces of content to further nurture you, to further own your attention. And speaking of lead magnets, it's incredibly important for everyone to have lead magnets to further nurture their audience. And so, for example, I have my own lead magnet, and the link in the description. It's 33 pages showing you how you can launch your own high ticket offer, all the way from starting out the basics from zero all the way to 30, 50, 100K per month. And it's 33 pages. And so go ahead and click the link in the description if you want to get access to that. Let's keep going. And this is really the ecosystem that he's built. From there, you can see his YouTube. All his top YouTube videos are undercover process selling VSLs. And what does that mean? They're basically just VSLs that are just selling why what he has to offer can help you. And they're all about 20 minutes long. They all have hundreds of thousands of views on them. And it's really just that how I work 4 hours a day. And it's, what he gets at is his personal brand. Allows him to generate traffic, money, and build a profitable business. How I built a profitable personal brand, how I gained 1.8 million followers. So these how-to videos, right? And just really teaching you, selling you on the process, how you can take these steps, and then selling you on his offer at the end of the day. So with these, the link in the description of all these videos will take you to his free training or his landing page. And with his landing page, he has a big, bold statement at the top. He has his VSL. He has an application to apply, and then he's got what experts are saying. So he builds a lot of authority right here, and then he builds a lot of credibility and social proof with a lot of his testimonials that he showcases right here, which kind of go on and on and on. You can load more. If you're not convinced, you can join his newsletter right here. So with his VSL structure on his landing pages, Matt follows this very specific framework. First, he does a pattern interrupt to really hook you in and get you engaged on what he's about to break down. He then identifies the dream outcome of how he can help you. He agitates the problem and highlights the pain points of your current situation because he knows his audience extremely well. He'll then introduce his unique mechanism, demonstrate proof, break down the process, stack his offer. He'll actually tell you his entire guarantee and risk reversal to make it just a no-brainer offer and get you to take action. And then he introduces urgency and a call to action at the end to get you to submit this application and book a call. And so then from there, you'll book a call, of course, because that VSL does an incredible job selling you on his offer. And then let's break down now his pre-call VSL and his pre-call assets. So when it comes to pre-call assets, you really want to get prospects to show up to the call as educated as possible. You want to answer all of the most frequently asked questions in advance before they even show up to the call, so they have a really clear idea of your offer and how you can help them. And then you want to really pre-handle all objections. So when you're on these sales calls, you'll often hear a lot of objections at the end of the call, and you actually want to bring those up, address those head on before they're even hopping on the call, so that everything's really crystal clear when they're on that call and you're just going through the details, and it's just a really easy sale from there. So that's really what this thank you page is for and what these pre-call assets are for. So when it comes to pre-call assets, you need these 6, which is that pre-call VSL, which is different than the normal VSL, which we're going to break down. Frequently asked questions, the offer breakdown, student interviews. You want to spam wins like crazy and even more testimonials, and then showcase your own personal journey and how, building a personal brand, in Matt's case, has allowed him to live the life of his dreams, essentially. And so the way that a pre-call VSL is different than the standard VSL that we saw on his landing page is it actually goes over the offer in a lot more depth. It goes over specifically how it can help the prospect, their unique selling point, and educates the prospect even further about the service. And so typically the structure I like to use for this is, even diving deeper, being even more personable. At this point, they're already interested. At this point, they already booked a call. And so actually just being more open and diving deeper into who you are, your own values, what to actually expect on the call, more case studies and who you've actually been able to help, and then addressing who this isn't for and who your offer isn't for and who it is actually specifically for. And so make sure that you're really clear on that and, really get rid of any tire kickers. From there, you want to break down what you specifically do, how it works, get a tie down to actually get them committed to attend the call and make sure that you really increase your show up rate, and then a thank you and a see you soon. And so you can see here, his pre-call asset is really this thank you page and really getting you ready for that call. And then you can see here, bonus step, Matt created this secret video just for you. Click the button to watch the most powerful system he has ever created. Secret video, and that is what that pre-call VSL is that I just broke down for you. And it's a 20-minute video. It only has 5,000 views because it's really just educating his prospects that are like ready to buy and ready to hop on that call. Now, Matt is also running a webinar funnel, and I don't want to get too deep on the weeds of this because webinar funnels can be extremely complex, especially if you don't have a proven offer and you're still figuring things out. But really, it's structured the same way. He's getting people to show up on a specific date. He has the application to reserve your spot, testimonials, what the workshop will kind of be going over and discussing, and a little note from Matt himself. So the key points about webinars is that you want to hype up a specific date. You can sell your offer. You just need one person on the webinar presenting, and you're selling one to many, which is, the many people is the people that show up to the webinar. You only need a few setters to ensure that people are showing up to this webinar, and after the webinar, making sure that people are taking action on your pitch. You pitch at the end of the call or at the end of the webinar. Hundreds can attend, and there's typically a really high conversion rate. They're complex, but this is the strategy that Matt uses within his webinar. I'm not going to break it down on this video, but if you do want a webinar template, you can just go ahead and just DM me on Instagram. The link is in the bio, and I will shoot over this template to you. So once people really watch this video, let's break down the actual sales process and what that looks like. And so one thing that I noticed, and a huge mistake that Matt is making, is what happens when someone opts in but doesn't book a call. Because I was testing this out when I was going through his funnel, and no setters hit me up. There weren't any automations. There weren't any specific email sequences. And there's a lot of people that will actually fill out an application, but they won't actually book that call. And so there will be a disconnect, and you need a team of setters to really hop on all these leads and convert them. So if someone opts in and they fill out the application, but they do not book a call, you need to have a specific set of automated actions and manual actions. So when it comes to the automated actions, you want to put people into a 12 email quasi-periodic email sequence. And this is quasi-periodic, means it doesn't just happen day 1, day 2, day 3, day 4. It's a little bit more sporadic and less predictable. And these emails will be emails specific to people who opted in. It's not just your general newsletter. It's very specific to get them to convert and get them to take an action, which would be obviously booking that call. I'm not going to break down the entire 12 email sequence. If you want that, you can also DM me on Instagram, and I'll be happy to provide that and shoot that over to you. But really, the main things is the first thing you want to do is a value email. So just providing them as much value as you can. Pretty much just giving away even the best parts of your course or services almost for free, and really just showing the value that you can provide them and something that will actually truly be helpful to them. From there, the next email you want to do is CTA. You want to then do another email with testimonials and further showing how you've been able to help people and transform their lives. You want to also have really personal emails showing your own personal transformation story in an email with just really nice, clear, amazing copy, and then a CTA. And so you kind of want to just go through these different types of sequences around 12 times to really further nurture people and ensure they actually take action and book that call. From there, the manual actions, within 10 minutes of people opting in, if they still have not booked that call, we need to have speed to lead. Speed to lead is absolutely critical. And so we want to either dial them up or text them. I highly recommend having a team of dialers that are fully dialed in, dialing up these leads and these opt-ins. From there, obviously going and booking them in. We have a setting script, but you really just take them through the process of where they're at, where they would like to be at, and their goal, and what is the bottleneck that's stopping them from getting there. From there, you can obviously really understand the prospect and offer them a solution to their problems, which obviously would be your service. And from there, obviously, you can book them in for a call. If they don't respond, you want to keep peppering them, texting them, and dialing them repeatedly until they respond and finally book that call. So now we have people, and all of our leads have booked a call at this point. What does that actual sales process look like? At this point, people are on the sales calendar, and we need to actually convert them. And the most important thing to actually converting people and making a lot of money with your offer is getting people to show up to the call. Because if people are not showing up to the call, it is impossible to make a lot of money. And so when it comes to actually getting people to show up to the call, we'd also like to have automated actions and manual actions. And so those automated actions, and one key note is we never, for any of our offers that we're running for our clients, we never allow prospects to book further out than 48 hours. If it's further out than 48 hours, it's just considered a setter lead, and that setter or appointment setter is going to just follow up with them until they have a time frame when they know that they'll be available in the next 48 hours. Otherwise, your show up rate is just going to be just awful. And so once we implemented this, it made a big difference. So we only allow bookings on our closers' calendars 48 hours out. And as soon as they book, they get an immediate email redirecting to that pre-call assets page that we reviewed. They get an email confirmation of the date and time to the appointment with a link to the pre-call assets. So further nurturing them as always. And then 24 hours before the call, they get a link to the testimonials page and an email and text reminder of the call. 6 hours beforehand, email and text reminder before the call. 1 hour beforehand, same thing. And then 15 minutes, they get an email and text reminder and link to the call. And this is really what we found to be the most effective. There is a fine line between too much and too many contact points where prospects just start to get annoyed with you and not enough reminders. And so we have found this to be that perfect balance. And then when it comes to the manual actions, it really is the appointment setters and the closers' number one responsibility is getting people to show up to the call. And so the number one way to actually get people to show up to these calls is to build an actual relationship with them before the call. And that really gets people bought in emotionally into you as a person, because now you're just taking them from just seeing someone online into someone that they can actually relate with and actually have a relationship with. And so the best ways to actually do this is to ask them how their life is in a specific state or country that they're in. And then you can either from there take the conversation and really open it up. You can say, oh wow, I've actually never been there. What is it like? Or you can say, hey, I was in Los Angeles the other month and I actually went over to Santa Monica and it was amazing. I ate at this and this place, and now you're actually building a conversation and getting to know them a lot better. You can also just simply ask them how their day has been or how life has been for them recently. What have they been up to? And you need to be actually genuinely curious about your prospects and actually have a genuine conversation. From there, you can transition that into what you're offering them, the call that you're going to have with them, making sure that they show up and things of that nature. And this will really skyrocket your closing rate as well. And more importantly, actually just making sure that they show up to their calls. Because if they don't show up, you can't collect payment from them. And that is the biggest difference between making a lot of money with your offer is fixing your show up rate. And that is the quickest and easiest thing that you can fix. Once you're already at 20, 30K per month is fixing your show up rate. So from there, it's really important to have extremely dialed in sales systems. And what that means is really just tracking KPIs and making sure that your entire sales team is extremely dialed in on your entire process. So tracking everything, tracking your setters' performance, tracking your closers' performance, seeing who is doing well, who's dropping the ball. Where is the disconnect? Is the disconnect from people are landing on the landing page, but they're not opting in? You know you have a problem with your landing page. You know that people are booking calls, but they're not showing up. You know that you have a show up rate problem. But if you're not tracking these things, you're never going to know what's going on with your business. And so the key things to track when it comes to dialing in your sales process is your lead conversion rate, your cost per lead, specifically if you're running paid ads, your lead response time, and how quickly people are actually reaching out to each of your leads. We want that within 10 minutes, but no more than 1 hour. Your sales and pipeline and deal KPIs, we want to really make sure we are very clear on the close rate, the average deal size, or how much you're able to cash collect per call. And how long is the sales cycle? How long is it taking from someone opting in to a newsletter or opting into a lead magnet or opting in to, the funnel and how long is it kind of taking to actually get people to close the deals, because then you can actually make a lot more informed decisions with your marketing efforts. From there, we want to have a really clear idea of what we're making on a recurring basis, the cost to acquire a client or a customer, and what that churn rate is. And then you also want to be really clear on the close rate for each of your reps individually, and then the follow-up rate on all of your setters and how often they're following up, because you will get a lot of people who just don't respond to your text messages and your emails and when you're dialing them. And so how often are we actually following up? And so you want to have a really clear spreadsheet tracking all of these things. And ideally you want them to be automated, because every time someone books a call, every time someone opts in, it's impossible to go and just have someone, whether it's you or a VA, going in and manually entering these things in. It needs to be automated. The best way to do this is through Zapier. And so having spreadsheets to actually track these things, because then that way you can also specifically send emails to the clients that are on different stages of the pipeline as well, and further nurture them based on where they're at. And so you need to be tracking these things, right? And then the last thing is actually having a Discord or Slack where your entire sales team lives and breathes every day. Everyone's communicating with each other. You have the leaderboards, you have the chats, you have the confirmation. You can see when someone booked an appointment for their mentorship or the offer, whatever it is, whatever you're selling. You want to really be really clear, and so everyone on the team knows when leads are coming in. You can see when they submitted an application, when they booked an appointment, and everyone can then react. We all have the meeting link. We all know who is the sales rep that's going to be taking the call, and we have all their qualifications questions right there. And so making it really effortless for everyone on the team to be on the same page. And we want all of this stuff to be automated as well. And this is really what has allowed Matt to build such a successful business. And so Matt sells his offer for $2,000, and he's able to close out of his millions of followers, about 600 people every single month. And that is what has allowed him to make $1.2 million every single month. And so if you're a content creator yourself, or if you're a coach who is an expert at what they do, and you want to launch your own high ticket offer, I help my own clients implement these exact systems into their own business. It's 100% done for you. And so we really just would want you focused on creating more and more content, dialing in the traffic aspect of your offer, and getting as many eyeballs onto you and your ecosystem. And then we at ScaleWise Media take care of everything else, from owning the attention, creating your sales assets, your lead magnets, writing your emails for you, educating prospects, helping you script out your VSLs and your funnels, and dialing in your sales process. And so if this is something that you would like to chat further about, you can click the first link in the description or hit me up directly on Instagram. And we can just have a chat. We can see maybe where there's some leaks or some flaws with your systems and funnels. So cheers. I hope you guys enjoyed, and we'll catch you guys on the next one.